Hey, MSA family, I just want to take a second and talk to you about something that we've been doing here at MSA. We've been having a small group Bible study on Shepherding a Child's Heart by Ted Tripp. My wife and I have actually been attending this. We're about halfway through the book. Hopefully, at some point, we'll have a weekend seminar, invite our entire MSA family to it, where we'll walk through these concepts on how to shepherd a child's heart, how to discipline that child, and how to disciple that child so that they realize their potential in Christ. But this morning, I just want to spend some time talking about some of the concepts that have really blown me away in this book. There have been times I've been extremely convicted about my attitude towards parenting and how I've done in my parenting. Some of the techniques I've used that have been brought to life have been pretty shocking. And so I wanted to spend some time and put some things out there. In chapter 5 of the book, Ted Tripp really gets to the heart of the matter. And he talks about our desires and our goals for our children. And he brings out several different desires and goals that you may have. Some of them are basically universal. Everybody wants their child to succeed. Everybody wants their child to do well in life and to be happy. But some of them are pretty focused. And so the first one that he brings out is developing special skills. This is the parent who really desires for their children to develop their baseball skill to the best of their ability, or their basketball, some kind of athletics, or maybe music, maybe dancing, maybe art, maybe reading, and maybe writing. Whatever that special skill is, the parent sees early on that the child has an ability in it, and so they spend their effort developing that skill. And before you know it, they spend their entire lives trying to develop that skill. Their life revolves around Johnny's baseball games. They can't go to church because of fall ball, right? Or every night after school, they have 5 hours of practice. These are the parents that really want their child to make it, quote unquote, to the majors or whatever that might be. And there's nothing wrong with encouraging your children to participate in things that he or she is good at. But when it becomes the end goal, that's when it becomes the problem. Ted Tripp also pointed out psychological adjustment. These are the parents that really just want Johnny and Susie to have good self-esteem. So everything they do is encouraging. Everything they do is pushing their child towards being happy, right? And not experiencing any anxiety or any fear, and making sure that Johnny and Susie understand that they can be the best they can be, and they can have full potential, and they can be self-actualized. And again, there's nothing wrong with psychological adjustment. In fact, we encourage our parents here at MSA to push their children towards the belief that in Christ they can accomplish anything and they can be whatever they want to be. Then there are the goals of well-behaved children. And this is the one that hit me the hardest, probably. It's been a long day. You're picking up your child, you take them home, and you just want that child to behave. You don't want them to act up. Or let's say that you're going out for dinner and your child is just acting a fool, right? They're going nuts at the table. They're throwing spaghetti all over the place. They're just behaving badly. And this is the goal that says, I just wish my kid would learn how to behave themselves. So we spend a lot of time and punitive efforts, behavior modification, trying to make little Johnny or Susie well-mannered kids. We might even send them to manners classes where they learn what type of fork to use when, or what type of glass to use for a certain situation. And you create in them this idea of manners, right? They want to be well-behaved in front of other people. And then there are those that want good education for their kids. They believe this: if I can just get Johnny or Susie into Harvard, if I can just get them into Yale, if they can just achieve their educational goals, then they will be upstanding citizens in their communities and they will be successful. So I'm going to push education. And these are the ones that, develop the summer plan for their children to be learning even when they're off from learning, right? These are the ones that spend 12 hours a day on education and the rest of the time either eating or sleeping. And again, I'm not knocking education. I am a teacher and I understand how important education is. But when it becomes the end goal, that's the issue. And in fact, when all of these things are good on their own, but when they become the end goal instead of a means to an end, then it becomes a problem. And that's what Tripp is pointing out. So then what is the end goal of parenting? What is the end goal of shepherding a child? What should it be? And in fact, there's only one answer to that. It's the end goal of the chief end of man. I like what he says here, and let me just read it real quick. It says, what general biblical objectives will guide and focus your view of life and therefore your training of your children? What is a worthy biblical goal? The familiar first question of the Shorter Catechism answers these questions. What is the chief end of man? Man's chief end is to glorify God by enjoying him forever. Is there any other goal that is worthy? Are you willing to start here with your children? You must equip your child to function in a culture that has abandoned the knowledge of God. If you teach them to use their abilities, aptitudes, talents, and intelligence to make their lives better without reference to God, you turn them away from God. If your objectives are anything other than man's chief end is to glorify God and enjoy him forever, you teach your children to function in a culture on its own terms. A bit further, he says, no wonder we lose our kids. We lose them because we fail to think clearly about man's chief end. The chief end of man is to glorify God and enjoy him forever. Therefore, your objective in every context must be to set a biblical worldview before your children. From their earliest days, they must be taught that they are creatures made in the image of God, made for God. They must learn that they will only find themselves as they find God. Your child must grow to see that real living is experienced when he stands before God and says, whom have I in heaven but you? And on earth, nothing I desire besides you. If this is what you want for your children, then you must ensure that the content of everyday life fits these objectives. And so all those things are great in and of themselves, but they are a means, and the means is to an end, and that end is to glorify God by enjoying him forever, and that is what we should be sharing with our kids. Guys, thank you for listening, and I pray that this has inspired you in some way. I'll continue posting little blurbs about what I'm learning in this book. It's been very beneficial for me and for the other people in the study, and I pray that we are faithful parents that serve our kids and push them towards God in every situation in life. God bless you. Have a good day.